Another day, another black t-shirt. So today I wanted to talk about this very interesting concept that I came across a while ago that, as I progress more in life, I start to see how true it is. So the concept is called, it's not called anything, but the way life and the universe operates, you're literally only moving backwards or you're moving forwards. Now, the first thing that you have to absorb when it comes to that concept is that time is the most valuable currency. The reason why time is the most valuable currency is because it spends itself. There's nothing that you're gonna do, let me rephrase that. There's nothing that you can do to prevent time from spending itself. So the only thing that you can do is control where it goes. Now, this is where the concept really comes from. So every day you are doing one of two things. You are either maintaining or you are doing activities or behaviors that are contributing to your future self. Actually, let me rephrase that. Every day you are doing activities that are going to contribute to your future self. Now, will those activities boost your future self or will they hinder your future self is entirely dependent on the actual actions that you're taking. For example, when someone kind of talks about having healthy habits, being productive and things of that nature, you got to understand what's really going on. So a habit is essentially a repetitive pattern that you have, right? And when it's fully ingrained in you, it's ingrained into your nervous system. And when it's ingrained in your nervous system, it's ingrained in your neurological pathways. So this is something that is essentially sinking into you on a multitude of layers, whether it's subconscious, through your nervous system, through your emotional responses. This is how habits really hook themselves in you. Now, the reason why you want to have as many good habits as possible, one reason is a good habit invites friends. A bad habit also invites friends. That saying essentially means for every good habit, it's going to be paired with another one. So for example, if you're an early riser, right, you have a habit of waking up early in the morning. What ends up happening is you typically have a very, very excellent start to your day because you're working with nothing but time. So someone who has a lot of time on their hands are really able to get a lot done. So by waking up early, this can essentially lead to you being productive, right? On the opposite end of that spectrum, by waking up late, you are essentially waking up with limited amount of time. You typically, now this doesn't apply to everybody because, some people operate differently, but I feel like whenever I've woken up middle of the day, I didn't really wake up with a lot of energy. I didn't really wake up with a lot of focus. And relative to most of the things I get done, probably 1 to 3 things at best. At best. When I'm able to wake up early, I literally see that not only am I able to get more than 5 things done, I still have a lot of time left on my hands on my days off. Waking up early when I work, this allows me to not only knock out the things that I want to knock out, I'm able to go to work knowing that, I woke up, I started the momentum of my day on a positive note. I get to work, I spend my lunch doing something productive, meaningful, and not just eating or chit-chatting or wasting any type of time. And then by the time I get home, if I do have things left to do, I have a window to get those things done. And if I want to chill, I can chill. So today was one of those days where I really should have woken up early. My shift was essentially at 10. I don't live too far from where I work, but I essentially woke up because I went to sleep so late. Now, this is another one of those things where you have to be very mindful of certain behaviors because it creates domino effects. So I am by nature like an early riser, but because I also tend to sleep very late, these two things do not clash. And then on top of that, with work being draining and you're working consistently, what ends up happening is by the time I'm supposed to wake up, I'm trying to get every minute of sleep available to me because of the lack of sleep that I lost. So that bad habit of mine of going to sleep late is essentially paired to a loss of time. You see how that works? So if I have a habit of waking up early, I am essentially gaining the habit of essentially knocking out as much as possible in my day. If I'm waking up late, I am essentially pairing myself with the habit of doing what I can remember or operating with the time I have left, which is from a very different mindset and perspective. So this is why it's very, very necessary to be very mindful of the habits, behaviors, and patterns that you're developing or you have already. And this is how it ties in essentially to the main topic of you're either moving backwards or you're moving forwards. So because the way we experience time is linear, so essentially it feels like we're moving forward in time, right? But there's people who essentially feel like every day is the same. Now, that is problematic. The reason why that's problematic is because you might feel like every day is the same, but society and culture is constantly changing. And this is how you end up going backwards without even realizing it. So while you're maintaining and staying the same, technology is developing. Societal norms are developing. Expectations are changing. Qualifications are changing. There is this constant sense of like the world is in a constant state of progression, constant state of motion. So while you're maintaining, things around you are changing. And by the time you reach a situation where you see that you're not equipped for this change, you now look around and realize that you are behind everyone else because all you were doing was maintaining. Now, that's why when you hear the word maintain, it sounds and feels like you're essentially staying in a single place. But when you're staying in a single place and everything around you is moving forward, you end up in the back. You see how that works? But when you're constantly progressing and moving forward, as things are moving forward, you are progressing with life. You are moving forward. So this is why the sense of if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. This is how it works. This is how it works. So if there is a behavior that you feel like is going to benefit you in the long run, you know, start small because the compound effect is incredibly powerful. Or, you know, if I would suggest, if you're not familiar with the phrase, let's say you try to get 1% better every day. You know, once again, working out and physical exercise is a wonderful, wonderful example. So let's say today you do 5 push-ups, tomorrow you do 6 push-ups, the next day you do 7, the next day you want to challenge yourself, you jump to 10, the next day you challenge yourself, you feel like you could do more, you jump to 15. And then you realize 15 is your goal, so you keep doing 15 for a bit, and then you get strong enough, and now you're doing 20, 25. So there is this constant, it's like we are geared to get better. Like the human species, like literally life is designed to get better, especially when it's put under stress. The kind of stress that could possibly eradicate it. You know, our genes and genetics are gonna cause us to evolve to rise to the occasion. And I think that's such a powerful thing to know that every cell in your body is designed for change, it's designed for improvement. I actually had read this in a Deepak Chopra book. I don't recall what it was called. But it was essentially saying that your cells are more important than your DNA because your cells operate from the state of whatever it needs to be, it will be. Whatever it needs to become, it'll become. So change is not as hard as you think it is. You're designed for change. You're supposed to change. Life is about changing, evolving, growing. But it's very important to know what are the consequences of your actions. And if you're very present about that, it might seem like you're just policing your behavior, but at first you're really gonna need to. Once you become aware of what you're doing, you're gonna need to police your behaviors. You're gonna need to check yourself a lot. Because if you allow certain thoughts to fester in your mind, then it echoes and transforms into other things. And this is how like childhood traumas are formed that essentially guide adults in modern day times. You know, I'll share one with you. When I was a child, I essentially felt like I was I felt like I was unattractive because I didn't see any external validation to confirm that I wasn't. I didn't see, hear, or feel anything from like my peers to make me feel like that wasn't the case. So when I get older and I am meeting people and I'm in situations and I'm hearing that, you know, you are attractive, you are handsome, you know, it just doesn't mesh, because it's just like, what do you mean? It's almost like that negates the experience that I had, but it's like, I just wasn't aware people had types. And if I was aware of that, the relief off of my shoulders, or the self-esteem I would have built, just understanding like, you know what? I'm not getting the response that I'm looking for because I'm just not their type. That's totally different from nobody likes me. But I honestly feel like how people should approach raising their kids is just like a totally different conversation. But I just wanted to share that as an example of how like a thought can really fester in your mind and truly guide you. So that thought festered in my mind and guided a lot of my decisions, guided how I saw myself, guided how I responded to certain situations. So a thought becomes a belief, which becomes a part of your identity, which will now inform and act on all of your external decisions and internal dialogue. That's powerful. That's powerful. So the situations and events that I went through as a child, where I'm like 7, 8, up to 11 years old, you know, I'm fighting those things off at 29. You understand? But back to the main topic at hand. If you have a vision of how you want to be, understand that every time you make a decision opposite of what that person would do, you are removing a brick from the fortress of identity that you could be creating. Does that make sense? You are subtracting from what you need to be building. It's incredibly important that you focus on improving yourself, whether externally or internally. Now, I honestly believe making a lot of external actions would really, really help you internally, because your mind and your subconscious is like this great recorder. You know, everything that you say about yourself, everything you do, just literally everything, it captures everything. It sees, hears, and takes note of everything. And it's essentially how you feel about yourself is going to be based on those subconscious notes. So when you start operating in a sense of execution, and your subconscious has essentially tallied these things up, and it's just like, yeah, this person gets shit done. This person doesn't fuck around. You know what I mean? So once it essentially has identified, like, you are Mr. or Mrs. Don't Play, you are Mr. or Mrs. I Don't Fuck Around, you start walking like that, you start talking like that. And, you know, this is something I think is important, because the belief systems that are earned through action, permanent. It's permanent. It's permanent. And when you forget, you have a physical reminder. And this is just another one of the reasons why I feel like one of the best things you could ever do for yourself is to execute. Not plan, not think about it, not make notes, not create productivity systems. Just execute. If you need to prepare in order to execute, do that, but make sure it's minimal preparation, like to remove as much fluff as possible. Just fucking go for it. And if you haven't seen my previous videos, one of the reasons why I suggest that is because of how life operates. If I drop this marker, I understand that by dropping it, it creates a sound. Now, if I want my environment to be quiet, I understand that what I need to do is make sure I don't drop the marker. I need to place it down somewhere, and there's no noise. Super, super simple concept, but that still is essentially a feedback system. Cause, effect, observation, new decision, implementation. It's as simple as that. You do a behavior, the behavior makes you feel good. This feeling helps you carry through your day. You find yourself laughing more. You find yourself doing more, feeling more confident, more extroverted. Do that behavior more. Not if it's self-destructive. Not if it's self-destructive. Like, don't, like, the reason I say that is because I remember pardon me, I remember there was a time where I had difficulty communicating with people, especially women, if I was not high, if I didn't smoke weed, for sure. For sure, like there was, like I needed some type of substance, 100%, because I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna say. I didn't know how to say something. I just wasn't comfortable. Like, it doesn't, like, you can look at the list and it checked all of my boxes. I just simply did not know what to do. So I needed some type of substance. Give me pills, I was never much of a drinker, you know, I'll smoke, like whatever the case may be, to help me. Like, I asked advice, you know, one time, it was so bad, you know, I had a friend log into my Facebook and pretend to be me to flirt with a girl. That's how bad it was. You know, I just did not know what to say. And that's why I brought it up. Don't take any substance to make you feel more confident. Like, you need to be able to do that on your own. You know, don't, what's the phrase? Don't rob Peter to pay Paul. Essentially, don't shortchange. Like, do the work. Don't take no shortcuts. Don't take no shortcuts. Shortcuts just cut you in half over time. You keep taking shortcuts, it just cuts you in half because you still have to go through the real process to get the real results you're looking for. So I think most of the information I provided is still super on topic. So just to kind of close it out, remember, your actions are either moving you forwards or backwards. If you think you're maintaining, if you think you're just being stable, no such thing. If you live in America, you are more aware of how the economy and inflation and the prices of things, you are more aware of how fluid it is and how it feels like it could change any moment. It could go higher. You know, that's just the reality of living in America right now. But that also goes to show you, like, you can't be too comfortable with what you got going on. And it's something I have to remind myself a lot. Like, I can't be too comfortable with the things I have and the situation I'm in, because until I have like a super, super foundational financial situation, until I'm doing everything, even if I'm doing everything I know I should be doing, sometimes it's not even necessarily like just the action, you know, like, are you doing things with intention? You got to be hitting shit like a sniper. Like, don't just, I emphasize like doing external action. I emphasize that, but do that with intention. You know, like, don't just be foolish. If that sounds contradicting in any way, I really just want to make sure that you understand my overall point and goal. If you have already done the information, you don't need to watch another YouTube video. You don't need to read another book. You need to fucking do it. Get out of your mind. Get out of your mind and get into the field. Whatever it is, go do that shit. If what you intend to do is something that requires you to, at the very least, educate and inform yourself, do that while getting yourself in the field, not before. Because sometimes, most times in the process of doing it before, most people, they start hitting the procrastination button. And if you're a very, very intelligent person, your procrastination button will look like an analytical loop where your intelligence, your mind, is essentially constantly giving you rational reasons why you should not be doing what you're about to do, And when you have settled on truly doing what you're about to do, your mind, because you are intelligent, is going to give you all of these different things that are going to feel like you're making progression, but you're not, because all you're doing is thinking about it, researching and thinking about it, and then thinking about researching it, which ultimately leads to absolutely no fucking result whatsoever. And I say that with that detail because I lived that loop. Me recording when I'm recording, I'm doing all of this as I'm breaking out of it now. As I'm breaking out of it now. And even in the sense of like breaking out of it, like, it's not that I've never broken out of it before. You know, my greatest concern at this point is making sure that I go further than I ever have. Because by doing that, I would feel as though I have finally completely broken my behavioral patterns and my behavioral loops, you know, and I've reached this point of just freshness. Like, I am completely not the same person. My nervous system is not the same. My emotional response is not the same. How I handle stress, pressure, and anxiety is not the same. How I plan is not the same. So I'm in the process of just completely changing that entirely. And I'm making these videos to share the things that I know and the things that I'm trying to apply, and also the things I'm trying to remember. And on top of that, holding myself accountable in the process. Because one day I know I'm going to see the results. I'm going to see the results. And when people are asking for advice or like, what can they do? I'll just literally point to my YouTube channel, like, pick a video. It'll give you the tools. And hopefully that'll be your last video. Like, you don't need to know anything else. Like, just go do what you need to do. And I see I'm doing that thing where it's like, whatever the topic is, I'm essentially just like breaking it down all the way to the most important thing that I really want every video to just be a branch of. The root of what my message is to stop thinking, stop overthinking. You know enough, just do it. Just do it. Just go for it. Just do that shit. Just do that shit. There's a girl you want to talk to, go talk to that girl. If there's a guy that you like, but you're overthinking it, go talk to that guy. Stop playing. Stop it. There's something in your life that you want to build, do it. You don't have enough skills, learn them. Learn them in the process of failing. Be comfortable with failing. Be comfortable with failing. Life is not going to reject you for failing. And that's something I have to tell myself too. Because I don't know what video this is. You know, I just know that of all the videos that I've made so far, I haven't gotten a single view. But you know what? I know that's going to change. I'm going to keep being consistent. And someone's going to watch this video and be like, damn, I got so much information from this. I'm going to go change my life right now. I don't need to watch another YouTube video. Or you know what? If that doesn't happen, what's going to end up happening is one day someone is going to interview me and they're going to do research on me and see these clips and be like, wow, like you really spoke on this. Like you really saw this. Like you really gave people clues and the blueprint and this, that, and the third. Yeah, bro. That ass. I did. And even now, like, I'm still trying to make sure that, like, I'm on point. Like, I need to tighten up because now I'm going into college. Yeah, I'm going to only take, like, one course a semester. But for me, like, I always looked at architecture school as this big thing that I could never figure out because I just wasn't smart enough, even though I felt like I really wanted to be. Like, when I tell you I am not even mentally prepared to get into this shit. I'm not. But boy, do I not give a fuck. Right? Because it's like, this is what I always wanted to just like at least try to do. At least like officially learn it. You know, at least officially try to get the fucking skill set, something. Instead of just skirting around it and buying books about it but never reading them. You know, learning these different tidbits and styles and techniques, but not really using or needing to apply the information. Like, I have a book on Le Corbusier, like I read it a while ago. He's an architect, if you're not familiar. And it was just like, oh, this is an amazing read. I have a whole different perspective of architecture now. For what? For what? Because I wasn't doing nothing with that information. But now, all them books I got, yeah, they gonna come in real fucking clutch. They're gonna come in real clutch, because you know what? Now I'm in the field. Now the information that I actually accrued is available to me. You see how that works? You see how that works? Like, I just jumped into this, no expectation, and suddenly I'm doing something I've always wanted to do. And I have all the information that I could possibly need readily available to me in book format, or I could just watch a YouTube video, or I could just watch an online course, because I kept skirting around the damn thing that I ended up learning all this random shit of the places where at least I could go to find out, or at least I can go to learn. So when I spent all that time in my mind, you know, time was just passing, but I wasn't getting any closer. I wasn't getting any closer to the goal. If anything, I, without realizing it, was just turning it into more and more of a fantasy. And it wasn't until I just did some shit without really thinking about whether or not it was gonna work. It was just like, let's see where this goes. Let's see where this takes us. And here I am. I need to hurry up and pick my class, because classes start August 21st. So I'm gonna have to be making beats, be an architecture student, full-time job, boyfriend. And if anybody who's in a relationship knows, that is another job. I don't care how you chop it up. It could be a fun job. It could be a satisfying job, but that shit is a job. But you know what? I'm built for it. All of those things. I'm gonna keep excelling at work. I'm gonna excel in this new field, in this new venture, and I'm gonna keep posting beats. And one day, man, the effort of all these things are gonna come together, and it's just gonna fucking radiate off me. And someone's gonna look at me like, bro, you just look interesting. Like, what's your story? And I'm gonna say, watch my YouTube. Go through the chapters. But for you who's watching this video, you need to get off of YouTube and go do some shit. Get in the field and stop playing.